All right, thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including iTunes. Do not forget to rate and review us on iTunes. You can say whatever you want to say. Just make sure it's a 5-star review. You can talk about how I am braggadocious and I'm just completely full of it, but I have really great guests. And by that, I have Chris Childers from Full Ride on SiriusXM joining us on the show today. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing great, buddy. How are you?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. I saw some pictures recently of you taking a European soccer tour. How was that? How was that?
It was everything I ever hoped and dreamed that it would be. I mean, you and I have known each other for a while, and you're kind of instrumental in my learning about the Premier League and being able to go over there and live it and experience just that atmosphere. Like, I cannot tell people enough. As great as college football is, the atmosphere there for pro football is better. It's just like all-encompassing wow. For 90 minutes, you're just like, holy crap, I want to live here so I can experience this all the time. It was magical. It really was. I cannot wait to get back. And strangely enough, I've become an Arsenal supporter through the whole thing. I know, which is, we're rivals now.
Yeah. We're gonna have to take opinions and say things at crossways. Yeah. So, all right. Whenever you came back, all hell broke loose. UCLA and USC decided they were going to do the Big Ten. The Pac-12 might dissolve. The Big 12 might take them up. Tell me a little bit what you're hearing from all the conversations you've had over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's been crazy. Essentially it's coming down to two leagues. It's becoming an NFC, AFC kind of system. I think there is room for these other conferences to exist, the ACC, the Big 12, the Pac-12 in some form. But I think what's going on is, if you look at the NFL, they are giving their the Sunday ticket deal to, Apple or Amazon? I think it's Apple, for $3 billion. Now think about that. That's like secondary television. Like, they've already paid for the rights. That's $3 billion on top. ESPN, Fox are starting to realize what they have. They can create this Sunday enterprise on Saturdays. So they're creating these mega leagues. Oklahoma, Texas to the SEC, USC, UCLA to the Big Ten. And I doubt we're done there when it comes to those two conferences. But really what the networks are doing, they understand what this is. This is valuable stuff. We live in a world where everybody watches television now a la carte. They stream. The only thing people are watching live are sports. So this is, to a network, this is bullion. This is really important. And the fact that the reason I mentioned the NFL money, $3 billion, is because if you compare it to college football, these executives are getting this for pennies on the dollar. They're really kind of fleecing college football, if you think about it. And the athletic directors are at their mercy and the presidents are at their mercy. But if you compare it to the NFL and the kind of revenue that can be generated from it and is generated from it, I think that's what's moving the needle here. This is all about TV networks saying, we want to create NFL on Saturdays, and they understand the kind of money that's at stake. Now, I think there's a huge power play here for Notre Dame. And I think what's going to end up happening is that the Big Ten will add Stanford and Cal, and that will be Notre Dame's, okay, we're in. Because if you add Stanford and USC, and those are their two huge rivals out west, they want to make sure they protect, on top of the fact that they'd still get to play Purdue, they'd still get to play Michigan State. They really get to have their cake and eat it too. So I think that might be where we're going, is that in Stanford, Cal, you haven't heard a word about them when it comes to the Big 12. So I think that's kind of what's happening behind the scenes, and that could be the big linchpin that pulls Notre Dame.
Yeah, and the next question would be, what does the SEC do? And is my opinion right now, the SEC doesn't want to move because the next move is going to destroy what college football the way we knew it. Whoever makes the next move is going to do it. And I don't think the SEC wants to be the conference that does that. But after the Big Ten grabs, if they grab Notre Dame and Stanford and do all that, the prettiest girl at the ball is probably North Carolina. Am I not wrong?
Yeah, North Carolina is very, very attractive from an academic standpoint, from an athletic standpoint, they're a gem. They're not going to get left behind. I will tell you that. No matter what happens, no matter where this goes, I highly doubt a brand like North Carolina gets left behind. I think they're the most attractive brand in the ACC. Some people would say, well, what are you talking about? Look at Clemson, look at Florida State. Clemson, to me, is a Johnny-come-lately, and they've been incredible. But is this whole era of NIL and transfer portal going to kill Clemson? Because Dabo's not willing to play the game. I don't know. You know, my gut is it probably will. It will set them back. They won't be the program that they've been. But we'll see. You know, maybe he can do it his way and still be competitive. My guess would be no. Florida State's just... You know, Florida State was never the juicy brand, but they were always an incredible football program with Bobby Bowden. From a revenue eyeball standpoint, I'm not sure what the numbers would mean. I'm also not sure what they would mean for Miami. So I think Carolina, I think you're absolutely onto it when you mention who's the most attractive from that, who's left, and I think the SEC would love to have them. That's not going to upset any of their membership. I don't know if they'd have a partner come with them, but I think the North Carolina, from an academic, athletic standpoint, would only enhance the SEC.
Yeah, my idea is the SEC, if they get North Carolina, they might try to partner them up with Virginia.
Which is another academic powerhouse. That's another school that I think, and I don't know if you've ever been there. It's beautiful, man. It is like...
Yeah, I've been to Charlottesville.
It's almost amazing they lose, because it's like, wow, that place is gorgeous. I would love to play football there. I could see that, and those together are both. I think academics matter in this. I do, and especially in the Big Ten, they're really high on that American institution, whatever it is, the AAU or whatever, something or other.
Yeah.
And I know that matters to them, which is why Stanford and Cal certainly are attractive there. But North Carolina has a lot of value, and I think Virginia. Certainly for the same reasons, maybe not quite the same athletic panache, but they're a school that you like to have a part of your group. There's no question about it.
Yeah, and I think everybody, like the Big Ten has always done academics, and they always say, well, they prefer academics over the SEC. Well, if you look at the SEC, Oklahoma, Texas, Florida, Georgia, it's kind of quietly become an improved academic conference, and that's not even to mention Vanderbilt.
100%, and it would only add if you add a North Carolina, if you add programs like that. I mean, I think those days of people knocking the academics in the Southeast have got to be over. I really think with the football and what we've seen from an SEC perspective and just the dominance, I think it's been invested in the universities, and I think kids from all over the country are going to these schools more than ever. I cannot tell you how many times I've had conversations with kids that are from my neck of the woods in suburban Chicago that are going to Alabama. Like, they're going to Alabama a lot. Like, kids from Chicago. I never would have thought that 20 years ago when I was going to college, but that's the power of the football. That's the power of the brand, and with that, you can increase what you charge people to come from out of state. You can increase certainly the academic standards, and all of a sudden, you got yourself a pretty damn good school. And I think you've seen that throughout the southeastern part of the country.
Yeah, and that's why presidents are so willing to let TV networks take control and do what they want to do, because this is essentially a 3-hour commercial that they put on every Saturday, and every game is televised.
And why wouldn't you? And that's the thing. I mean, I've talked to people from overseas. For example, there was a golfer that I talked to from LSU who was from Australia, and he visited the Southeast for the first time, and he's like, I have to come here. I have to go to school here. I have to be a part of what this is like. You just don't get this any other place. Like, college football is wonderful in other parts of the country. The Big Ten, there's certain pockets. You know, you'll have a great time at an Ohio State game. You'll have a great time at a Michigan game. But it's not true for all member institutions. It's just different in the SEC, and people are gravitating to that. They see what happens on Saturdays, and they say, I want to tailgate. I want to be a part of the parties. I want to rush the fraternity that, you know, wears their Sunday best to the football stadium on Saturdays, which is never even heard of in the Midwestern part of the country. I mean, you wear T-shirts and jeans to a football game. It's remarkable. And I think really just the exposure of it, and the fact that, like you said, there's 3-hour commercials on CBS, on ESPN, every second on the SEC network, all corners of the globe see that. They see where it's sexy in college athletics, and they want to come be a part of that, whether that's being a student athlete or just a regular student.
Yeah. And Chris, man, thank you very much for coming by and talk to us. We were going to talk about the season. We'll get to that another time. Hopefully you'll come on. But I appreciate it, Chris.
Absolutely. Invite me anytime.
All right. Have a good day, bud.
See ya.
All right.